Beyond. Welcome, everybody, to Beyond episode 472. I'm Max Scoville. This is Brian Altano. This is Marty Sleva.
Ooh.
And this is Jared Petty in his last episode ever.
Boo!
Boo! How dare you?
I'm sad.
It's very sad. We're going to get to that in a second. We've got a great show lined up. We're going to be talking about ukulele, about bears,
Yes.
About For Honor and its for always online internet connection, video game movies, and a bunch of other cool stuff. But first, a brief message from our sponsor, Naomi, if you please.
Thanks, Max. And yep, this holiday season, World of Tanks and IGN is bringing you a special giveaway. You'll have a chance to win a PlayStation 4 and some World of Tanks goodies. To enter, head to this super festive link, go.ign.com/beyondgiveaway, all one word. And if you want to try World of Tanks, it's completely free to download for PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox 360. So come celebrate the holidays with IGN and World of Tanks. Warm wishes to you all. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Naomi. All right, let's get into the show.
So, Jared,
Yeah.
you're
What's up?
leaving. This is your last week at IGN.
Yeah, I'm real sad about it. I'm trying not to cry right now, and I'm not having a lot of luck. But yeah, I am leaving IGN and going to Electronic Arts. Starting at, I'll be stepping out of here at the end of this week and starting there in the new year.
Electronic arts now. That's so
they do.
wild.
They've had this for a while.
Can you talk about what you're going to be doing at all?
I'm going to be my title is social content editor, and that's all I can say at this point.
Okay.
Socialist?
Well, I am a socialist, so I am also the socialist content editor, but that's not my official
You're going to
capacity
be
for
an
work there.
incontinent socialist editor. That sounds like
Can
a
I
good
ask you a
time.
question? I don't know if you can answer this legally, but
I don't
are you
know
going to be
again.
working with Jonathan Madden?
Well, not to my
Hit
knowledge.
footballier?
I mean, I do love a good football, and but no, to my knowledge, I will not be working with Mr. Madden, nor riding through the horse trailer or any of those other things.
Because I had a really good idea what to do with John Madden. John Madden's afraid of airplanes. So what if you got him on a bus, but it was secretly an airplane that he didn't know? And you're like, hey, we're going to drive to the event now. And all of a sudden the windows went down and there were wings and you took off in the sky. And you're like, see, it's not that bad.
You've just described an episode of Inspector Gadget.
Can we talk about the gas leak real quick?
Yeah, that's probably worth bringing up. We were a little bit late on the show today because there were men on the roof of IGN's offices and they spilled gasoline all over the roof and it got into the vents. And there was a bunch of gasoline smells inside of our studio where we do the show. And Pablo, our facilities guy, had to go up there and he was like, hey, what's going on with you? Why'd you get gasoline all over the roof? And they were like, what's the big deal? And anyway, we got some fumes in here with us, so it's special
Yeah,
guests.
they sent us in as like the canaries in the coal mine. And
Yep.
Yeah, this is strangely like the second weirdest IGN roof story I've had since I worked here. The first being the day that episode 7 came out. I was here at like 5 in the morning.
Beyond
working.
episode 7?
No. Like Star Wars episode 7. Sorry. So when Force Awakens is the day it's coming out, I'm sitting here. It's about 5 in the morning. I'm at my desk. It's really quiet, and there are dudes working on the roof doing construction. You can hear them walking around up there, and they're walking back and forth. And it's about 5:30, and I'm typing, and suddenly through the roof, one of the construction workers just screams, "Star Wars!" And then it gets real quiet again.
All right.
And that's it. And they go back to work, and that was it. I have no idea what the
What were you
context
doing
of that
at, what were you
was.
doing at work at 5 in the morning?
It was this time of year, and I was working on guides.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right,
Check it
so
out.
that's an IGN memory of yours. What do you have any other fond ones? You've been here for how long? How long have you been doing this?
I have been here about 3.5 years. Yeah, I was on Beyond back when Greg and Colin
Before I
hosted.
ruined the show?
Yeah, back before you were in the show, when they still had cool things like that Roper Report, for example. And
Roper's Report?
Now
We talk about
now
Ropes
we
more
just
than
have
they ever
Ropes
did.
Yeah,
Report,
and
so yeah.
pre-News Ghost, they had the rotating third chair. But yeah, I was I came on. Greg called me the Wiki Wonder Kid. Even though I was like 10 years older than him. That was funny. And they were very sweet and had me on a few times. And then gradually I've just kind of been kind of a professional guest star on IGN podcasts every now and then and popped from show to show and said hi because you guys are fun and let me come nerd out. And I lack the stability to be a true host, but I have plenty to offer in the nerd out and talk and babble like this.
I lack the ability to be a true host, says man who launched very successful Patreon and is true host of his own show.
That's true. The last thing that was meant to sound was snotty. It was more.
Yeah.
I was trying to sound self-disparaging, but I think I
Right.
think I
No,
messed
you
it
just
up.
sounded like a liar.
No, you're doing really good.
Yeah, I think I messed it up.
You're gonna keep doing that show, right? That other show you do?
Yeah, Pockets Full of Soup.
The
is
other
gonna
show
go-
that you can plug right now
No.
without getting fired?
Yeah, let's plug that. Yeah, Pockets Full of Soup is a podcast I do /show, and I hope everyone will come to patreon.com/Jared Petty. And
If you get in
support it.
trouble, blame the gas leak.
Yeah.
Too. But yeah, I get to keep doing that. Electronic Arts is graciously
That's
allowed me to
great, Jared. Can
continue
we
that.
talk about some goddamn PlayStation?
Yeah.
All right, so let's
It's been
get to
15 minutes, and if we don't order food or start talking about PlayStation, we're getting in trouble.
Let's get things started. This is a real big story.
Hey, it is.
Yeah, Yooka-Laylee has a release date.
Yes.
That's right.
It's April 11th.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
Marty and I just played this at PSX. It's a really good time.
Yep.
I didn't feel like it needed like a ton of polish or anything. I mean, some little camera torques and stuff like that. But this is actually sort of a record for Kickstarter games, because usually when you back a game on Kickstarter, it either never comes out, they take your money and start an island, or it comes out and it's bad, but it's like years later, right?
Yeah.
So this is actually...
Or you get Broken Age.
Or you
which
get
was
Broken
great.
Age, yeah. But this, in terms of like actual like to the moment this got funded to the moment it's actually coming out, is a pretty short release window. So
Yeah, and they've been super open with development and always sharing things. They had that the toy box that you could play around in, where you could just sort of like play around and play with the physics, the controls, and everything. And yeah, this is coming out in 4 months or so, 3 months, which is super exciting.
I like to make fun of Banjo to make Marty sad, but
Yeah.
I can't wait to play this. This
Yeah,
looks
it's
like a
great.
really fun game.
Yeah.
It's a good time, and you know the Shovel Knight's in it. Isn't there that trouser snake in there?
Yeah, there's a snake whose name's Trouser.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a clever bit of humor there.
Yeah.
I like that.
They're
They
talking about the dingus.
so they canceled the Wii U version, which
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know,
and they're putting it on Switch, which
Yeah.
I think we're going
Makes
to get
sense.
a lot of going
Yeah.
forward.
yeah, I mean, I feel like anybody who's working on a Wii U game in the last year and a half, which weren't many if you look at literally anything. I love that system, but I mean, it did not die a good death. Like I feel like, not to get into it real quick, but the difference between like Sony and Nintendo systems is that Sony systems, like, they don't have their last year and a half are rarely on life support.
Yeah.
Even the Vita, which we've been declaring dead for the last 2 years, got like 7 mentions at PSX. There are a bunch of games on the show
Well, even
floor.
like PS3's like Swan Song were like GTA 5 and The Last of Us. PS2
Yeah.
had God of War 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 and Okami.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
Nintendo,
PS2 and
Nintendo
PS3
tends to, even their successful systems, they tend to just kill.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're just like, one day it's like, yeah, we've stopped making games for this now.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said it before on the show, I'm like optimistic about the Switch, but I don't really see it being a major threat to what Sony's doing right now. I mean, they just sold their 50 millionth PS4. They had the top selling system for the MPD for 2016. They had the top selling system of the month of the last month. They are riding on PSVR and the Slim and the Pro. That kind of stuff I think will coast them all the way into March. I mean, I could maybe see the Switch putting a dent in the first month with like that sort of like lapsed Nintendo fan type of thing. But I think Sony's going to hold down the fort and they're going to be okay for a while.
I don't think Nintendo is positioning the Switch as a threat to the PS4.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think that they are even trying to
no,
compete.
it's a different
trying
animal.
to
No,
disrupt.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to create something cheap enough that you'll buy this as well.
Yeah, well, that's they've positioned themselves for a while as sort of being that secondary console.
Well,
or
that's what,
handheld,
yeah,
so.
since the Wii.
Yeah, so we'll see.
All right, so you mentioned Banjo-Kazooie there. That's a game about a bear.
Yeah.
Tekken 7 is another game that has not one but 2 bears, unless you don't consider Panda Bears bears, in which case there is only 1 bear in it.
Also, real talk, it's a slow week because we're talking about Tekken.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually I like Tekken because it's got a bunch of animals in it. I like that they were just kind of like, they're like, all right, we could have like another dude with weird hair, or we could just get a cool animal in there.
A kangaroo?
Put
Right.
a
Or a
little
little dinosaur.
That
Yeah.
dude made out of logs. Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah, the
hell
log
would-
man.
Yeah.
The bear, which his name is Kuma, which is Japanese for bear.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That's kind of fun. That's kind of like Kairu in Chrono Trigger. It's like
Yeah.
Frog. His name is Frog.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
I like that. But yeah, so let's use this as an opportunity to talk about bears, nature's animals. What's your favorite video game bear? Marty, go.
Mine is Banjo because he has a backpack and he has a friend who's a bird and they might have sex. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think birds and bears can have sex really, but
I think
I didn't think it was
they
that.
have complementary bits.
I bet you an ostrich could do that.
I thought
Probably.
just Kazooie was swinging the different direction with that one.
all right.
Oh, I can't speak to
Kazooie's
that.
a woman.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so she's okay.
Huh,
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Brian? What's your
I really
favorite?
like the bears in Tomb Raider, like the new one,
Yeah.
because you can fight them. And I think they just did an amazing job of making you feel like they're terrifying. Like when you're like in a cave and a bear shows up. That's a threat. That's a big problem. I think bears should be threatening in games. I think a lot of times they're very soft and they're lovable and they have pants or overalls or whatever. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Bears should be scary.
Like, what about Winnie the Pooh?
That man doesn't even
When,
wear pants.
when he gets his ass stuck in that tree and they draw a face on it, it's terrifying.
He had to get Christopher Robin to Fulton him.
Yeah.
He put on some active
I
camo.
remember
and
that.
went up in that tree.
They did Fulton Winnie the Pooh. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite bear, Max?
I really like the specific bear in Far Cry 3 that I set on fire, and then he ran into a camp
yeah.
and set everyone else on fire.
Those are great.
yeah.
Yeah, Ubisoft's good at bears.
They
Yeah.
do some good jobs with the bears in there.
My favorite bear, I think, would be Bentley Bear from Crystal Castles. The,
That's a good bear.
wonderful
Ooh.
arcade game. He
Max
wears a
and I-
magic hat.
Wait, hold up. I want to change my answer. I want to say Sticky Bear of Sticky Bear Basket Bounce fame and Sticky Bear Teaches Math or whatever the hell it was called.
wow.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
Bears in gaming.
If we had this discussion 3 years ago, Naughty Bear would have been brought up. But
Naughty Bear
I'm
would've-
glad. I'm glad that era's past us.
Kids,
You
if
think-
you can
you
ever
think
find
it's
a
done?
yeah, if you can ever find a Crystal Castles like arcade machine with a trackball, that game's great. But
Yeah.
you have to have a trackball to play it right. It's
Yeah.
not correct.
I feel like you made up the game Crystal Castles in this whole
oh
oil
no, you've
spill.
played
That's
that,
a
right?
band.
And the Exxon
is a
Valdez
band.
that
They're
is
on-
this
They're on the
podcast.
Watch Dogs 2
No, that
soundtrack.
game's amazing. Like it's one of the first video games with warp zones, and it has all kinds of great hidden secrets in it. Really early example of that kind of stuff.
All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know,
So- I
played it.
without you here, no one's ever going to mention Crystal Castles.
That
No,
makes
Max
me
and I did
really
a Let's
sad.
Play of Crystal Castles on PS4. You can
Really?
play Crystal Castles on your PS4. There's an Atari collection that just launched.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it that weird 2600 version though?
It's both.
Okay, so the 2600 version is at least playable with a joystick. Like I kind of like that weird version, but the arcade game's just so beautiful, and it's really happy little music and neat 3D effects that are. It's a neat game.
Hey, speaking of 3D, a game that has that is For Honor, which also has to be online always, even on single player. Why is this a thing?
Yeah, this is really annoying. We got 2 drops of games I was looking forward to that always have to be online with. I mean, we don't need to dwell on Nintendo anymore, but Super Mario Run has to always
Yep.
be online.
That pissed me off.
And then For Honor, even for the single player, which is
Why?
kind of silly. And it's like it's not a huge problem for us who live in the Bay Area, but like I still know a lot of people who live in random places in the Midwest where they don't have the greatest internet.
What
Did
the
they-
first thing I always think of in scenarios like this is the military. It's
Yeah.
people overseas who
Yeah.
are in
Yeah.
places where they can connect to the internet, like kind
Occasionally.
of occasionally.
Yeah.
And that sucks because it's like that's what they have to entertain themselves
Yeah.
between horrible moments of life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, maybe make this like design something so it works for everyone. Now I don't design video games. I don't make video games. I don't know how things work.
Did they explain this at all? Were they like, oh, it's because we've got cloud learning samurais in it or whatever, or was
Cloud
it like,
learning.
oh, it's just that's how the game is?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of going forward with there's a lot of Ubisoft games that have that online functionality, but like you're able to play Watch Dogs not online. You just
Ironically.
can't
Right.
access the
Yeah,
online
this
parts.
game about like
Yeah,
Pangea fighting itself.
You
It's
can play Watch Dogs offline. You can play Dark Souls offline. People make it work. I think it's anytime make your game good for the players.
Yeah, I
whenever
wrote the
possible.
entire Dark Souls 1 guide on a debug copy that couldn't get online.
Yeah.
And so I played that game for like 300 hours and before I put it online, and then I played it online for an hour, and I'm like, ooh, this is way different. I wasted a lot of time on
Did
this.
Rogue One's Ben Mendelsohn read that guide?
Ben, yeah.
Can we tell that story real quick?
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn, who
Yeah.
plays he plays a Batman in Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
He's the Batman.
John, like
He's
Admiral Badman.
guy with the big cape.
Yeah.
That's not Darth Vader.
He's director Kevin.
Yeah, but when interviewed by IGN, he said that he was familiar with IGN because he's a big fan of Dark Souls, and he had a hard time getting through it, and so you need to look at the guide.
Yep. So did he use the Marty Sleva guide? Did he use the Jared Petty Dark Souls 2 guide? Or I'm guessing he used the Brendan Graber Dark Souls 3 guide. That's what I think.
No, I'm guessing. No, it must have been mine.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no way he would have gone to your trash guide.
Okay. Well, to be fair, mine's definitely the weakest of them all.
No, man, mine doesn't even have video.
Really?
Mine has screenshots.
Okay. Well, there's that.
All right, so man, there's like, there's really not a ton of.
We got good questions. We got good questions near the end.
We got good stuff to talk about. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Some fun
I'm
stuff
just
here.
killing time by complaining. See, that's a good trick about the
Killing
radio.
time by complaining.
Yeah, that's why they always do those sports broadcasts where they're like, "Oh, yeah, he's got to stretch his legs a bunch and get out there and on the field."
Just
Anyway,
keep being like happy like this. So I don't
video
cry.
game movies. Mark Wahlberg will not be playing Nathan Drake in the Uncharted movie.
Good.
I don't know how many of us thought he still was, because that thing is getting kicked around left and right.
Yeah.
We did kind of a deep dive on that on Up at Noon and just went back through basically every single news update.
I forget
of
the
that
headline
movie.
of that. People should look that up. It was a really good video.
Yeah.
They probably got a lot of downvotes because Max and I were in it.
Who do you cast as Nathan Drake?
I don't.
You don't?
It's
Yeah.
missing the point.
Yeah.
Nolan North in video games. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
like it's totally like I don't want to see a movie of that. I want to see like give me something
A
else.
movie of a game of a movie?
This thing has been passed around with so many hands. Like David O. Russell did I Heart Huckabees
Yep.
and Three Kings was originally attached, and then you had Seth Rogen attached to it.
They were
And
making
now-
like a funny Uncharted.
Yeah, now Joe Carnahan, who wrote Smoking Aces, supposedly
No.
wrote the screenplay.
I tend to feel the same way about a lot of video game movies. That like the other day I was in a game store and I found a copy of Godzilla the Animated Series, the game.
What?
And yeah, Godzilla, the animated series, the game.
What
That's-
was that?
yeah.
What console was that on?
Yeah, that was on Game Boy.
Oh, wow.
So I found this the other day, and I'd never heard of it before then. And
That was like the 90s.
but it kind of made me think like a lot of video game movies are the same thing. It's turned around.
Yeah.
It's like here's this thing that we love that's well developed, that's designed for a specific medium, and now we're converting it into something else. And for whatever reason, man, trying to hit all those touchstones and get it through the Hollywood production process and cast it just doesn't work out very
No.
often. The only really good video game movies are the ones that aren't about specific video game properties. You have Wreck-It Ralph. That's a great movie. You have Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's a great movie. Neither of those is about. It's not an adaptation of a specific video game. It's something they made up for the movie.
Shut up, Sean.
Paul
Not
W.
talking
S.
about
Anderson's
Mortal
Mortal Kombat, while it has a certain charm to it, is not a good motion picture. You have good documentaries, Indie Game, the movie, King of Kong. Those are wonderful. But again, those are about the process of development. They're about the people.
Yeah.
They're not about adapting one story to a screen that maybe doesn't belong on a big screen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you can do it, but I don't think that it's been done yet.
I would put it in the same category as taking a movie and turning it into a radio drama, which can be done. I mean, there's a Star Wars radio drama, but it's also like you're removing an entire dimension. Like people like video games because they're interactive, not because they're great stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are, but
I think it also reveals a lot of times that video games are things that we love because they're interactive, and you can write a sort of simpler story in spite of that, basically, where you can be like, oh, this is kind of a weak premise for a film, but as a video game it works because you're playing through it and you can ignore, like you'll play a lot of games that have a bad story or a weak story and ignore them if the gameplay is fun, right? But that doesn't really happen with movies. Like you need all of those things to be working at the same time. I know some people are like, oh, I watched that movie, it's just popcorn, junk, like garbage, summertime, it's hot and my brain's dumb, like that kind of thing. I hear a lot of excuses for bad movies, and that's fine. I've given them myself.
I really like eating popcorn in dark rooms.
In the hot, in the heat. Just give me some dumb stuff.
Here's my theory: is that occasionally crappy movies make really good video games. Like Chronicles of Riddick comes to mind.
Yeah.
So what if there's a really crappy video game out there that would make a great movie?
Yeah, I mean, honestly. And we keep looking for that white whale, and we thought this year I was like, Warcraft's going to be good because Duncan Jones. Nope. And I was like, Ratchet & Clank's going to be good. Nope. And like, from what we've heard about Assassin's Creed, 80% of it takes place outside the Animus. And I'm like, oh,
good.
And then they're like,
My
well, next
favorite
year,
part,
Tomb Raider is going to have Alicia Vikander and Walton Goggins. I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah,
Probably going to hate it.
hold on, I'm going to make a promise real quick because I have to apologize to the audience. I swear I started this year and last year and probably the year before doing a bunch of videos about like, oh, is this the great year for video game movies? It's not. It wasn't. It won't be. So next year, I'm not doing any of that. Next year, I'm just going to be like, there's a bunch of video game movies out this year. Pause. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to editorialize it. I'm not going to be like, this year, Max and I did like so many rundowns. I'm up at noon being like, Assassin's Creed, watch all this other crap. And it's like, none of this actually comes out to be good.
There's
So,
going to be a Firewatch movie. That could be good.
yeah.
It could. It might also suck. I maintain that the best format for video game movies is based on fighting games because you've got a bunch of characters there who don't have a set. Like there are kind of like set relationships in like Street Fighter, and they've done a few movies of that, and they haven't been fantastic, but they have been fun. But the same with like any of those, you basically have this cast of characters, and the idea that some are good and some are bad and some are kind of ambiguous, but you can kind of just use them like action figures or puppets, and you're like some of them fight each other. And
the martial arts movies kind of a lot of times fit that formula anyway. If you look at something like Enter the Dragon, I mean, Mortal Kombat is just a giant Enter the Dragon ripoff anyway, so why not do it that way? And again, it has worked the other way. I mean, people have taken some of the most beloved movies ever made and have made great video games out of some of those franchises. But I don't know what the missing ingredient is.
I think that they should just add Capcom characters to the MCU, like put Mega Man in there and the man in underpants from Ghouls and Ghosts.
And just
Arthur.
Arthur.
Put them, have them fight Thanos. That'd be great. Then we have a Marvel vs. Capcom movie.
I love that.
I'd be really okay with that. Yeah, I was watching Blade for some reason again.
Which one? The first one?
The first one, yeah. I was like, man, I want to see Blade fight Thanos, like Wesley Snipes' Blade. I want that to happen.
Yeah,
Some mother effers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
They are.
Yeah.
That's a fabulous one. Also, Stephen Dorff, really, really engaging.
You know, that was my answering machine message in college, and my grandmother called me once, and she was like, Brian, what's that all about?
That was your
Who's
answering
ice skating?
machine message was Wesley Snipes and Blade.
Yeah, saying that line.
it's a good line.
I mean,
To Stephen the Dorfman.
it's a good line, but wow.
I didn't have a lot going on.
That reveals a lot about you.
Yeah,
It was
just me and my PS2 and my GameCube and that answering machine message.
You come far, Brian.
$5 a day for beer.
And we're back to the gas fumes.
Right there. Here we are.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
You got a note in here, Jared. I'm assuming everyone should read Nightmares, the Bishop of Battle with Emilio Estevez.
Does it say read?
What?
Oh, did I
Watch
re-
Nightmare.
Watch.
Sorry.
Okay,
What
yeah,
is
that's
that?
what-
The book's a watch read.
So the Bishop of Battle is there's this old movie called
read.
Nightmares, and the Bishop of Battle is this video game themed segment. It's like one of those what do they call it? Anthology films?
Right.
You know,
Like Tales from the Hood.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you've got all these little vignettes. One of them is called The Bishop of Battle, and it's about an evil video game machine, and it stars Emilio Estevez, and it's terrible, and everyone should see it.
What about that part in Maximum Overdrive when the video games hypnotize that man and he just goes like, "Your mama," and then it electrocutes him?
Well, everything about that movie is
That's a
spectacular.
good
What about
movie.
that Frankie Muniz movie where if you die in the game, you die in real life?
What,
Oh,
that
yeah.
game? Oh,
Big
Stay
Fat
Alive.
Liar?
Yeah, Stay Alive.
Stay Alive. Yeah, I saw
Fat
that
Liar.
movie.
My
I
dog
saw that
Skip.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the end of the year 2016 is rolling to a close, as it tends to do through the passage of time, and the fact that we are on a large orb spinning through infinite, endless nothingness in front of a large burning orb that is also on fire. Anyway, there are a bunch of games that came out this year. Did you play all of them, fellows?
Yeah, we did it.
No, we did not
every
play
single
them
game.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
I actually, this is the first year I played all 63,000 games that were released.
No, I figured there's a lot of games that always kind of like, the cream of the crop, the stuff that we're talking about for Game of the Year consideration.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rarity that someone gets a chance to really play everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go around and ask you guys what you feel like you missed out on, what you want to catch up. Like, what's your
Yeah. And
2016
that's
backlog?
Also, kind of the secret of working at IGN is we don't get to play games 9 hours a day. We are lucky if we play games at all a day. It's a lot of meetings and handshakes.
yeah.
Yeah, we do like rigorous handshakes.
Yes.
We do a rigorous handshake.
Yeah, it's very good.
Firm ones.
The ones that I'm looking forward to, the big ones playing over break, especially since they're nominated for a lot of our Game of the Year things, are Dishonored 2 and Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley just came out on PS4, and I'm super
I
stoked
was
to jump
reading
into
some
that.
sort of anecdotal early stuff that might be a little glitchy on PS4 right now.
Oh.
Yeah, so Jonathan Dornbush, who's been on this show, was playing it at his desk, and you use the analog stick still as a mouse. There's a mouse in the
Oh,
game,
weird.
and so to like
Yeah.
close menus, you like go over it and I'm like, well,
I think, but it's also like people are having a hard time progressing from day 3 to day 4. Your character just goes into an endless slumber, so that's not good.
that's
Oh
life.
my.
yeah,
They may have been in a gasoline-filled studio. And
Yeah.
and
that's
just-
true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually was really looking forward to that game. And then I started reading up on it, and I was like, wait a minute, maybe I should just play this on PC because like it seems
And
like a game that's designed around a
And
mouse.
literally any PC could run this game, probably.
Yeah, totally.
I'm stoked about that. And yeah, Dishonored 2, that's the one that.
Yeah, that's actually the big one that I kind of skipped out on. I was really actually keen on starting Final Fantasy 15, even though it's not really been my jam in the past, but I loved the Final Fantasy games growing up.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen about this game looks really cool. The art direction's gorgeous, and the characters and the way they interact is fun. Plus, I love a good plate of food.
It is. That game is a disaster piece. Like it's
Really?
wonderful. Like it is. It is.
Where's
it
the
is
disaster
all
part?
Well, the disaster is that it's this kind of meshed together. Like you can see the staples like that are holding everything together, but everything it's holding together is just so wonderful that you don't care.
right.
It is a rough around the edges, unbalanced, thoroughly unpolished, weird mess, and it's so much fun.
Okay.
Just a delightful. It is just such a video game.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. I spent most of this weekend watching my fiance Jen play this game. Like I got it for her. She's she grew up with Final Fantasy and JRPGs, and she's a big old weeaboo, and she just loves playing this pretty anime hair boy game. And I can't remember the last time that I was this entertained watching somebody else play a game, but I was just like sitting on the couch and just like staring at her kill these ugly scorpion dog things and have these boys like throw shade at each other and drive around in a car, and one of them takes bad pictures. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is so bizarre. And they make little sandwiches and stuff.
Yeah, even the in-game advertising is delightful. Like they have this cup noodles quest where you're going to make like it's like I sure could go for a delicious cup noodles. Cup noodles are delicious and they make me happy in my tummy. Anytime I have them, I have memories of that. Like, but they just play it up so much, and you get to the quest. It's like, which ingredient would you like? Which one satisfies your hunger?
Wow.
Well, no, but they just keep going with it till it becomes sort of like the Wayne's World thing, where
Yeah.
they're handing the chips over.
Yeah.
But there's an individual quest for each ingredient.
That's
like you can
awesome.
choose. They didn't just shoehorn it in. They went to a lot of trouble
Sounds
to
like
make
Pillow
this,
Talk.
and the dialogue is so on the nose that eventually you start laughing.
Yeah.
And it's well done. It's very thoughtful and intentional. And it's like, well, we wanted in-game advertising for this game, but we're going to find a way to make it really amusing for you.
There's
And
also
I
a
like
wonderful
that.
dog in the game.
Oh,
good.
There's a good dog.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like little indie games I kind of feel like I missed out on. And there's always that bizarre thing where you're tracking stuff that gets first released on PC and then you're like, oh, I'll wait for that on PSN or whatever. And sometimes stuff falls through the cracks with that, or if it came out on Xbox first or whatever it is. But Oxenfree I want to check out, and Abzu, which I know is going to be like a lovely afternoon.
Yeah. I
Also,
really like that game.
I need to just get my feet wet in Last Guardian, and I feel like I really missed out on Overwatch. I think I was like traveling the weekend it came out or something.
Yeah.
And everyone had that sort of like honeymoon phase with it, and a lot of people stuck around. Obviously, I like the characters a fair amount. I think it's kind of just I kind of want to get some of the jokes that I see all over my like Twitter feed. You know, like but I don't know. I'm just curious to see what that's like. You know, just jump in there and screw around for a bit.
For me, Last Guardian, which I desperately want to get through and complete. That's exciting. I want to go back to Odin Sphere. We had that wonderful Vita remaster of that, and I'd really like to dive back into Odin Sphere, which is a marvelous video game and gets a great treatment with that version of it. And then I want to go back and play more PSVR because I played it a lot for work for the launch. And then we moved on to other guide season stuff, and I just did not have time to go back. But what
have you played?
Most of what I played was I spent most time with Super Hypercube and Rez. I played around with a lot of the games. But
have you tried Arkham VR?
Arkham VR, yes, I tried it, and I thought it was interesting.
I mean, it's like an hour and 10 minutes to finish that thing. So
I was like, this is like in terms of that one felt like a very well done proof of concept to me.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, to me, it's sort of like once you kind of lock into like the hum that it's doing, and then you realize it's never really going to turn into a full-fledged Arkham game. You're kind of like, oh, this is like a fun little detective simulator that occasionally lets me be Batman in a mirror, which is super creepy.
It is, but it's neat. It looks great. But I want to go back through the entire catalog and dig through, you know, the maybe the half dozen most recommended games and play through all of those.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah, because you really love that. You have a segment on this very show.
I do.
This podcast, does it work?
I do. Yeah, we didn't write it in this week, but yeah, we can talk about that.
I'm realizing that I kind of just want to hold off on playing any more PSVR games until I have one of my own. So it's like I have this, like they're small experiences. Yeah. You know, like I just want to scrub through all the stuff that I've heard you mention and be like, oh, Brian like that, and just, you know, jump on it. So on that note, we got a great email. Justin McConnell wrote in. First of all, if you're watching this as a standalone clip on IGN, check out the full episode on youtube.com/IGN Beyond. Anyway, Justin McConnell wrote in, says, as a father of human sponges, I find it hard to play most modern non-Nintendo games in my living room due to language or over-the-top violence. Just last year, I was playing through Firewatch for the first time, or just last night, and I got to hear my 3-year-old repeat some of Delilah's colorful dialogue to my wife. My kids like to spend time with me while I play games or play with me, but the only PS4 games I really ever feel safe playing with them are things like Ratchet & Clank or Rocket League. Do you think that Sony is missing out by not offering more big family-friendly first-party developed games? Obviously, the holidays are a time for spending time with family, whether that means having annoying little cousins running around and being like, what are you playing? I want to watch, or having old people walking by the TV and being shocked when you're shooting somebody in the face. So, you know, maybe if this is a time, if you're gaming around other people of different ages and walks of life, that we could, you know, talk about some of the stuff that's more inclusive for everybody. Yeah. Obviously,
where do we insert the Knack 2 joke? I just want to know.
That's actually the.
I mean, Knack is honestly something I bet if you played around a kid, I bet a kid would like the first Knack.
Yeah, actually, I think Seth Macy told me that his kids really enjoy Knack. He freelances for IGN a lot of the time.
What's up, Seth?
Yeah. What's up, Seth? Yeah. The thing is, I think there are better games that the children could be playing.
First things first, Ratchet & Clank is a fantastic, fun for all ages game. That's like playing I mean, it's weird because they did make a big cartoon movie of it, and the game was still kind of a better cartoon movie.
Yeah, it does that Pixar thing where like there are jokes that you're going to laugh at that are going to be totally fine for your kids to hear, even though they don't understand the you know, double entendre.
Yeah. Lego anything. They've got, at this point, they're kind of going through the roster of just games that are things that kids like. I love the Marvel superheroes one. The Star Wars ones are fantastic. Harry Potter.
Lego City Undercover is coming to PS4, and that's awesome. Also, I played. I'll talk about this real quick. I played Lego Worlds at PSX. That game is awesome. It's coming to consoles. It's been on PC for a little while. It's basically an open world Minecraft style building game, but with a health bar. So you can kind of like mess around with it and play it sort of like single playery, or you can play 4-player couch co-op. You can import people's brick by brick creations into your own game.
That's
so
really
somebody
cool.
can make like a house or like the Millennium Falcon and just drop it in there. You can get a gun that shoots horses.
I mean,
I don't mean kills them. I mean it like shoots actual horses out.
Horses
of the gun.
come out of the gun.
Yeah. What
that's
noise
kind of
does it make
fantastic.
when they shoot out? Is it like a foomp? Or is it like a
It's more like a foomp and less like
Not like a nay or anything like that.
Nothing like that.
Well,
But it's
you're
really
on,
cool.
Well, you're on the Minecrafty type stuff. Dragon Quest Builders.
Totally, yeah.
That's a delightful game that I don't think a lot of people played.
It's on
And that's a
Vita, too.
shame.
Also, while you're on the Minecraft stuff, Minecraft.
Yeah.
there we go.
Also Terraria, which is like 2D
Yeah.
Minecraft. I wanted to give a shout out to Disney Infinity, which I think kind of gets the short end of the stick. That's kind of dead.
Which means it's crazy cheap to get
It
those.
is
toys.
stupid cheap. If you've got kids and you got a PS4 or a PS3, or really, I think it's on pretty much every platform.
Yeah.
Check Amazon for that because you can get like a version 2.0 starter kit for like $10, and that includes like I don't know a Brave figurine, and there's like a Marvel superheroes one for $20.
Yeah.
So if you're like gift giving for younger gamers, that's a really awesome choice.
Also,
I was
if
at Disneyland recently, and they have the saddest little Disney Infinity corner now.
Oh, really?
They're all off segregated off on their own in a sad little clearance corner.
Well, the
And
good
it's-
thing is like if your kids are like the obsessive collector types, this is a great game for them because there's a finite amount of those figures out there, and they're all dirt cheap.
Yep.
If they get into Skylanders, you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, until they pull the plug on Skylanders.
But Skylanders,
But
like also even like Skylanders year by year is still like a super solid game. Alana always reviews them for us. She really liked Imaginators. I think that was this year.
Yeah, Imaginators lets you customize your own.
Skylanders.
And
They're like actual good Diablo games.
Yeah, Disney Infinity. I think it's really easy to look at that and be like, "Oh, this is a dumb game for kids. This is shovelware, whatever." It's totally not. That was developed by like Ninja Theory, who did Devil May Cry. They did the sword mechanics for the prequel Star Wars stuff, and then there's like. The guys who did Sleeping Dogs did this kind of like Marvel superhero Super Smash Brothers type thing, and I think the only thing that doesn't work on that is sort of the online functionality with like sandbox mode. But that's like it makes me wish I had kids so I could like play it with them. But I should probably just
If only he had an excuse to buy more Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
One of these days.
Skylanders, obviously, Little Big Planet and Tearaway are both wonderful.
Yeah, Tearaway.
Special.
Tearaway.
Yeah, what is it? What's it called? Like the Tearaway, like
Unfolded?
Yeah, Unfolded, Big Picture Edition or whatever.
Yep.
Minecraft Terraria, we talked about that. Towerfall is like kind of like an 8-bit Smash Bros type thing.
Yeah, Towerfall is one of the best games on PlayStation 4 still. The Ouya's entire existence was justified by
How did you say that?
Towerfall. Ouya.
Well, what's happening
You
here?
remember the Ouya?
Yeah, you're just saying it like a weird dude.
Oh yeah,
How are you supposed to say it?
not like
Why
Francis
was that your
McDormand
hang up
in
and not the
Fargo.
fact that he says that its existence was justified by one game?
Yeah, and that was Towerfall, which
That was the
eventually
one I
came
was
to
taking
PS4.
the
What
problem
about
with.
that frog game?
There was that.
Insert Knack 2 joke here. There's the Knack 2 joke.
Okay, there we go.
We
Yeah.
mentioned it, Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one to play with your kids around.
Someone just wrote sports.
Yeah, well, I put that in there. Because sports games are another thing you can play often with your kids, and if not, the question in his original letter is, "Hey, what can I play with my kids around?"
Yeah.
Well, sports games are
no
all
one's gonna do a
kind of
hard
inherently
cuss.
G-rated, and a lot of them are really fun.
What are you talking about? Those men all use drugs and get in trouble.
That was
and-
remember that one NFL game
Fight
that came, or
dogs.
remember the NFL game that came out where like people would take drugs?
Yeah.
they had like the story about it. It wasn't NFL
weird.
licensed. But
I think I remember this.
Yeah,
It's
it was
wasn't
really-
Geez, I remember this game.
Bad boys.
Windjammers. That's coming up soon. That's a frisbee game.
That is the frisbee game.
Okay.
That game is so good. That is the greatest event to come out of PSX was the announcement of Windjammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, move over. Last of Us Part 2.
I would rather play Windjammers than The Last of Us any day of the week.
What?
The game's in.
Well, you can't.
Hey, do me a favor
Neo
and quit
Geo
your
emulator.
job.
All right. Fighting games? ? Obviously, Mortal Kombat has people's spines getting ripped out, so maybe skip that one. But something like Marvel vs. Capcom or
Yeah.
Street Fighter V.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
They're pretty vanilla. It's kind of like just playing Dragon Ball Z. So
Yeah, and A Boy and His Blob was in there too. That's a
Boy
great
and His
PS4.
Blob,
That's
yes.
on PS4 now, and that's a wonderful game to play with your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Rez. Unless your children are frightened by colors and polygons, that's
I mean,
probably
Rez is a
safe
game
bet.
about conception.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
a
well-
little sperm trying to get to an egg.
It is about that. That's
Just
true.
a heads up though, PSVR is not meant for people under 12.
Yeah.
So be careful with that.
Can you play that offline? or is
Yeah,
that-
play that.
yeah,
play
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Play it.
on-ver.
But what's
Yeah.
the point? It's
Yeah.
awesome in VR.
Oh,
if
the
you're
area
12 and you're
stuff.
listening to this, sneak downstairs and put on Daddy's VR helmet and go blind. It's so cool.
Am I allowed to say Battlefront is on there? Battlefront, what is that? Is that T-rated?
Yeah,
Is it
probably.
M-rated or is it?
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. That's the game about
Yeah,
running
who
around
wrote that?
shooting people.
Yeah, it's still a first-person
I mean, technically,
shooter.
Uncharted's T-rated too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Final Fantasy 15's language is very mild and violence generally isn't too nasty, though it can be scary. It's
Yeah.
also an incredibly dense, systems-heavy RPG, and it's, I mean, I was, playing Final Fantasy VI with friends when I was in 4th grade, so maybe that's a thing. But
Yeah.
you can also put on subtitles, and if your kids don't speak Japanese, they don't know what's going on.
I don't know
Sweet
what's happening. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, I put the section for artsy fartsy but generally G-rated games such as Journey, which is about scarf people who don't stab anything.
Or Flower or Flow.
Yeah, there's those two. There's The Witness, which is very difficult, but beautiful and quiet and peaceful and all that. Proteus is one of my favorites. It's not really a game. It's kind of a weird, psychedelic thing. But you could probably put that in the hands of a 3-year-old and see what they do. You just walk around, look for an owl.
Yep.
And there's Abzu, which is what happens if Scarf Boy from Journey went under the sea.
Yeah.
The Witness again, because clearly we're having a great productive day here at IGN.com. The Last Guardian?
Yeah, I think you could. I think you could.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you've
How
got that.
old's a kid?
I don't know. There's no actual child here. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically.
Well, again, the idea is you're playing it with them in the room. His original question wasn't just what can I play with my kid. It's what can I play with my kid in the room.
I think if you can handle that horse dying in the never-ending story.
hell out of that poor dog.
If you can handle that horse dying in the never-ending story, then you can handle that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's that whole like logic of like, oh, are we talking about like what's safe for kids in 2016 or what was safe for kids when we were kids?
Yeah,
like because we also had like the kids in the Goonies saying like stuff that you will get fired for saying
really
in
should
2016.
say, but that horse drowned because he was so sad, and that was the worst. Like,
no, he drowned because there was mud.
it was
and
mud,
you shouldn't make a horse
but
swim
he
in
lost
mud.
hope. He lost hope, and then he sank.
Also, it was German filmmakers, and those dudes are crazy.
Yeah, they let the kids have wine over there. That's crazy. This is America. Give that child a small rifle and no health care. Anyway, I also put difficult but simple. Broken Age, probably kind of dense but super colorful and cute.
Honestly, any Double Fine adventure game like Grim Fandango,
old school adventure stuff.
Data Tentacle.
And then Spelunky, which is like, I mean, that's I would say the closest thing to like Super Mario World you get on PSN.
Yeah,
what blood there is all kind of cartoonish and funny.
It's cute. And then there's Shovel Knight, which is you're a knight.
Yeah.
The night of the shovels.
And we're getting more stuff next year with the Crash Collection and with
I was gonna
stuff
say,
like Parappa.
I was gonna say there's a bunch of like PS1 and PS2 classics you can get to like that were remastered or stuff and ported and stuff. Like even stuff like Ape Escape is on there. Like if you
there's some wonderful stuff.
dig around like some classic games, and that's like cool thing too is like I'm not gonna tell you how to be a dad or a mom or whatever, but if you have a kid and you want to be like, this is what I used to play growing up, like give it a shot. I think that's really cool to sort of introduce somebody into something that they probably wouldn't have found anyway.
Another secret benefit of Shovel Knight, which was the last one we had to it before to the classics, was that you have all the cheat codes, so you can do cool things for your kid, like make him gigantic or make him invincible, or let him, and that's cool too. So you can play around and just change the game up constantly.
It's also a good way to teach a kid about retro games you might have grown up on without like breaking out old hardware or making them put up with something that's really old and obtuse, because that is an awesome just sort of like mixtape of just cool ideas that we grew up with in the 80s and 90s. I love Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight is one of the best video games to be released like while I worked here.
And the last one I want to talk about in Resident Evil 7, it's about a family who makes love to the dead.
That's true.
So maybe don't play that one, but
let it die.
I think it's very easy to look at the PlayStation lineup and be like, this is not enough stuff here for kids, and like I mean Sony's kind of they're less big on first party stuff, I think, in general, they're not making, I mean, they got Knack 2 on the way, but they've also got, they got like, the Little Big Planet, the Saki Boys, they got Parappa the Rappa, there's a bunch of cutesy stuff, and Ratchet and Clank, like, so, we obviously listed off a bunch of stuff there, and this is also like these are good games. This isn't just stuff that's good for babies. This is like an actually,
Yeah, these are wonderful games.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever play games when you were kids that like you totally shouldn't have been playing?
Are you
like,
joking?
That you were way too.
Of course.
Like,
like Night Trap.
Night Trap?
Yeah, I played Night Trap at my friend's house.
Right, but like, did you find Night Trap like threatening?
I didn't know what was happening until like a year or two later. I read an article about how there was like a lot of bad stuff happening in that game.
Okay.
I mean, I was playing Duke Nukem 3D when I was like 11, maybe. I don't know.
I also played Pit Fighter as a kid, which I knew like that game wasn't really bad, but I knew there was something weird and like it took place in like an underground like Taiwanese subterfuge where a bunch of dudes were just like getting drunk and smoking and hitting women and stuff.
The most terrifying thing about that game was the control.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Also, we're 472 episodes in the show, and I think that's the first time anyone said subterfuge.
That's my new thing. I'm gonna start doing that a lot in 2017.
Just saying words and hoping that they fit.
Yep.
All right.
Juxtapose.
That's definitely not my new thing.
Yeah. Onomatopoeia.
Who do rapid fire?
Time for rapid fire. Rapid fire is, of course, the segment of the show in which we get a bunch of questions from either our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/podcastbeyond, or the comments on our lovely IGN YouTube channel or IGN Beyond YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/IGN Beyond. Luke Christian, Jack Russell Morgan, pick one.
Whoa,
Says,
what a name.
Jared, what's the thing you're most grateful for from your time at IGN?
Oh, it's for me. This Narcissism edition.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
I kind of told the group that this was your last episode, so we tailored a lot of the questions around you, including one about snacking.
Oh, I'm really excited about that. Looking ahead.
Fat joke. Doing a fat joke because I'm fat. I can do that.
What was the question again?
What's the thing you're most grateful for from your time at IGN? He has a weird comma in the middle of that.
All right, without taking it down too long a road. I mean, that one's so easy for me. As you know, the people in the Beyond community largely know, the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life happened outside of IGN while I was working here in the accident where my wife and I were hit by an impaired driver, and everything fell apart. And at every layer and every level, from the people in this room to people that have moved on to do other things, and Greg and Colin and Tim and Nick and Kevin, to people in Unlocked, to my bosses here, to my friends here, to people I barely knew here, to the people writing some of these letters and the people in that Facebook group and folks that have moved on, good friends like Chris and Ryan. Everybody picked me up and carried me for months and months and months through that. And I have rewarded that good faith by leaving.
Thanks a lot, Jared.
But that
picking you up was very difficult, by the way.
But that was
it took that many people to do it.
That was hands down transformative. I think the capstone on that was actually Beyond 400.
Yeah.
Where you guys were kind enough to have me come down for a minute and say hi to that room full of Beyond fans and sit down with you. And it felt cathartic. My wife was getting better. My life was getting better. I was starting to be a little more together mentally again. I realized that financial ruin was not immediately going to fall upon me. And I walked onto that stage and felt so welcomed and loved by so many people that I didn't really understand why they chose to be so kind. They just did. And I was surrounded by friends on stage with you guys. And I walked away from that evening a different person. I think that was the beginning of getting better. I don't know if I've ever told you that.
You're a really easy dude to love because you're incredibly nice. And I think that's why, I understand why you're sort of still confused and sort of like a little surprised by the kindness that you've received, but it's because you've given that out tenfold in every appearance you've made, every conversation you've had, every video I've ever been in with you, that you weird ass dude. You have been just so wonderful and sweet and kind and loving, and I'm gonna miss the shit out of you.
Thank you.
You can put a cat sound over that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, like I think it's not fair to a lot of other people I work with. I've met a lot of wonderful people working at IGN, but you're a very, very special guy. And it's been really cool getting to know you. And it's going to be, it's going to be a different place without you around here. You big blubbery baby.
I'm not crying. I did. See, there's no tears.
You got to make me one promise.
I don't know what you've been doing today, like snowflake crafts or something, but there is actually a tiny piece of glitter on your eyeliner.
Yeah, it's on your head too. I don't want to say anything.
You put on that frozen eyeliner I got you for Secret Santa?
I think there's glitter on my pillow at home because like for the last 3 or 4 days I've had glitter on my head and I've been showering regularly, so I'm not sure where it's coming from.
All right, well, that's weird.
People keep spotting glitter. Yeah, I think there may be pillow glitter.
Well, enough of that glowing, sappy garbage. Right. Kevin Atteridge says, what is one thing at IGN that Jared will not miss at all thanks?
What, my goodness.
The gasoline smell?
The gasoline smell.
Glitter mail that gets dumped on your head every day.
I really, really like working here. I think I will not miss my own desk, which I've transformed into a wasteland.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's a squatter's desk.
What is
really
that over there?
Yeah.
You pulled out an Amazon box that was full of receipts from some guy who nobody could identify from the old Brisbane office?
Yeah, from several years ago. Yeah. I don't really know what happened over there, but it's kind of become my terrifying hoarding corner.
Yeah.
I have been excavating, and it really is like archaeological strata. I mean, I keep finding like, I've dug down to
Eric Estrada's brother.
Yeah, I've dug through senior editor down to associate editor, and now I'm finding like my first week here.
When you first got there?
Like I'm finding stuff under everything that I got like my first week here.
Cracker Barrel receipt.
You came up
the Cracker Barrel receipt from working on the guide at Cracker Barrel. Yeah, that was when I was still
came
for
up to
1UP,
me
I think, wasn't it?
yesterday, and you gave me LucasArts company store catalog from 1999.
Yeah.
And then today you came up and gave me a pair of blue blockers. So I would guess you're around 1993 at this point.
You gave me a
going
Jar Jar
down.
Binks video game CD-ROM yesterday. That was fun.
It's like save some of this for White Elephant, dude.
I got my White Elephant gift. It's a good one, too.
Is it booze?
Is it a mirror?
Partially.
Partially, yes. It's
God.
booze plus one.
What?
It's,
I
it's
just
a combo
got
gift.
regular booze.
It's a combo gift, see.
I didn't realize you
right.
could do plus one.
Johnny Down says, what are your personal top 3 favorite pieces of work you've ever been a part of during your time at
a good
IGN?
question.
That's a great question.
The first one's easy. My boss, Sam Claiborne, can be a lot of fun, and he allowed me to take our... We did a thing years ago where we all talked about our personal favorite games.
Not all of us.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I got canceled before.
They killed that
we
series
did-
before I could do mine.
Yeah.
Well, I did
Anyway, I'll
mine.
do it right now. Number 100, The Lion King for Genesis.
That's not one of your 100
No, it's
favorite
not.
games.
Yeah,
That
that
game
game sucks.
It's really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I jump around on those or giraffe heads. It's not fun. So I did my top 67 because that was how many I came up with for that list. But
You couldn't have thought of 2 more, dude?
I could have.
Come on, Jared. I get it.
So I wrote it up as
Nice.
I used Twine, which is a very simple game / interactive fiction creation tool, and I wrote it as a video game. And so I drew little graphics for it, and you can go into this day and play through my a journey through my 67 favorite video games. And there's achievement or there's trophies, and you can earn trophies. There's hidden secrets in the game. You can die in the game, and you could try to find all my favorite games.
so you
in
made
there.
a video game about your favorite video games?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's...
I'm generally like pretty good at like kind of getting an understanding of people.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought I kind of had you figured out. And then you dropped that, and I was like, I don't understand this dude at all. Also, this guy's out of his mind.
Also, Brian, I think I figured out why this project got canceled before you and I could do it.
Why?
Because instead of just writing a list of the top 10 like a normal dude, he went and made a video game.
Yeah, you broke the game for everybody, man.
So yeah, sorry about that. But there was that one. Another couple I really enjoyed. I did this very light little piece about how technologies were popular technologies were coming out of science fiction and becoming part of everyday life. It is in many ways very fluffy.
Yeah.
But I love that idea. And I love the fact that IGN gives us a forum on occasion to talk about sophisticated ideas in very easily expressed, easily understood, digestible ways for people who may not have considered that before. I really enjoy, like a lot of people hated teaching like 101 classes in college. I used to teach like 101 stuff and I loved it. I love teaching intro. I love being the first taste of something that gets somebody interested in going into a deep dive. And I think I'm pretty good at that. And I got a lot of chances to do that here. That's just one of those that came to mind. And then I think a final one is I eventually found out that apparently completely inadvertently
That you can't say the word inadvertently.
my worshipful love of Suikoden 2 did in fact, I discovered later on, I think I can share this now, I hope so, did in fact apparently have something to do with it being re-released. I learned that eventually. I was not trying to influence that. I was just talking about how great the game was and how great it would to be out.
You're an influencer, Jared.
Apparently I became ammunition at some point for somebody's argument that game should come out.
Did you write a feature about it or something?
I wrote features about it. I talked about it
talked
on
about it on the show,
Beyond.
literally.
Every show I was on. And sooner or later it happened. And I did not campaign for that, but I was very happy to learn I might have had some tiny part.
Can you tell
in
EA
that.
to make Mother 3?
He's got to get John Madden on that
I can
plane
neither
first.
confirm nor deny anything regarding
Okay.
that question.
Jared, I wanted to piggyback on something real quick that you were talking about.
Piggytailing?
The piggytail. You did something really cool here that I don't think a lot of people do day to day in their own jobs, let alone even here at IGN. You got hired as a wiki guides guy, but you said, I want to try my hand at making every single type of content that IGN makes. And you took a preview for, I feel like it was like Donkey Kong Country Returns. Was that your first preview?
That was my first written preview piece. Yeah.
And then you did a review for a game, and then you started writing features, you did podcasts, you hosted videos. You basically said, I want to try my hand at every single thing that's possible to be created at IGN, and you did them all. And I think that's like excellent advice, not only for people working in whatever job you're doing now. I don't mean just like start doing stuff that somebody else's job is at work, but like have an understanding of how things go together. And if you're a freelancer, more than ever, look at what Jared has done and look at what people like Jared can do, and say to yourself like, yeah, I'm a freelancer. I just write features. Don't do that. Like, don't shoehorn yourself into just those things. Don't piggytail yourself into just those things. Write previews. Write news stories. Write reviews. Like write outside of your comfort zone.
I had forgotten that I ever told you that, but that was one of my goals coming in, was to try to do everything at least once.
Well, I remember how excited you were.
Yeah, and I think I pretty much did.
Yeah.
I've done almost everything we do here now, at least one time, and often many more.
Including quitting.
That too. Yeah, but thanks. And he's right. It's so much fun. Plus, learning what other people around you are doing, learning a little bit about their job. Man, it makes working with them like so much more of an engaging and rewarding experience.
End of the day, like even if you're not, maybe if you're like a janitor at a hospital, like going around and trying to do everybody else's job there could probably murder somebody. So don't do that. But like, ask questions, like learn stuff. Like working a place can be a learning experience. And if your job sucks, at least you're passing the time by, finding out new things. Timothy Ralph Weisenhunt said, what are your favorite games not released in the U.S.?
Oh, man, there's several good ones there.
We're going to be here for like...
Yeah, we could be here for a while. This could be a long list. Don't worry, I didn't write it all down. I mentioned... no, that was on another show. Crisis Force, which is a shooter for the Famicom. I really enjoy. Also, Rekka Summer Carnival, which was released in the NES, or released in the U.S. a few years ago on Virtual Console. Is a lot of fun.
That's a shmup.
Yeah, they're both shmups. Crisis Force.
That was the weirdest thing. No, because when that game came to Virtual Console, I played it, and I'm like, this is not a Summer Carnival at all. This is a shooting game.
Well, so they would have these events called Summer Carnivals in Japan that were like competitions for shooters.
The competition between an alien and a ship.
Well, and that was the cartridge that was made for people would compete to be the best of the shooter.
Oh.
That cartridge was made for that event. That's why they called it that.
What are we going to do when you leave?
Yeah, but yeah, Crisis Force.
No one else has this information.
Yeah, it's like it's a Konami shooter that's kind of like a sequel to Life Force.
Yeah, which is why I love it, because Life Force is one of my all-time favorite jams.
Yeah, exactly. I love I love Kid Dracula. I really these are all Famicom games. Gimmick. I love Gimmick. Thank you, Frank Cifaldi, for introducing me to Gimmick, which is a fantastic Famicom game. A lot of PC Engine games that never came to America or that only came recently through things like Virtual Console. I really do love Rondo of Blood, even though that's kind of a
Blood sucks.
Really, you don't like Rondo?
I don't like it. No.
I like Rondo.
I love Rondo.
What's your problem with Rondo of Blood?
No, Rondo. He slept my ex.
I like it's like one of the it's like a sequel to legit old school Castlevanias.
Yeah, but it's not good.
It's wonderful.
It is. No, it's not. It is. You got to get better at it.
Yeah,
real good.
Just get Maria and then get good. You'll be all right.
You're not good at games. You didn't even know how to run
Bubble
in
Bobble
Captain
2
Toad.
until I figured out it didn't have 2-player. Then I was really sad. I was going to say Windjammers, which hasn't been around since Neo Geo, but now it's coming back around. So actually, that was
Mother 3. You haven't said Mother 3 yet.
I do love Mother 3 deeply.
Okay, you get two more.
Mother 3 very deeply. That's a marvelous game. Here's one I regret. Bubble Symphony has a lot of problems, but I really like it.
Let's start with the name.
What's that?
Start with the name.
Bubble Symphony is a sequel to Bubble Bobble for the Sega Saturn.
What? I didn't know about this.
It is, and it is
It's one of my all-time favorite jams.
Okay, so yeah, Bubble Symphony is really fun, really groovy music, beautiful graphics. It's a wonderful, wonderful game.
Is it still about two dinosaur boys who get their wives kidnapped?
It's still about two dinosaurs
and have to fight sharks by eating pretzels?
I talked about Bubble Bobble 2 earlier, but the problem it's only one player. Like it has 2-player, but it's alternating. So
if you were still around, we should launch Bubble Bobcast, which is our weekly Bubble Bobble podcast.
Also, Bubble Bobble 2, I kid you not, features the Xenomorph from Aliens riding a motorcycle in a boss fight.
Shut it down.
That's in
a
Bubble Bobble. Yeah, that's in a
Right.
crazy. But yeah, Bubble Symphony, wonderful. And then finally, I mean, this is one of the easiest
Last
ones.
one.
Saturn shooter. You can go for all the
yeah.
obscure stuff. But yeah, Radiant Sulfur Gun, which finally came to XBLA, so I guess technically that's US now. So then I'm going to say Seikyo Gurentai or Dodonpachi, which are also Saturn shooters.
I thought you said Saturn Shooter was the name of the game.
Thunder Force 5. I think actually came to America.
No.
Actually.
That's enough. You went to 11 there. Stop.
I did.
Stop.
Pop Full Mail.
Just stop.
How to Full Mail?
Pop Full Mail.
Okay, Philip Braumeister Morgan. Who are these long-winded Morgan boys?
Braumeister he's a beerman.
All right. With The Last of Us Part 2 being revealed, there are many story theories floating about, but not just been talking. Words. Not much talk about gameplay. What new gameplay features would you like to see? Personally, I would like an element I noticed in Left Behind where you could hide and actually play off the infected against human bad guys and make them kill each other while sitting back.
Yeah, I love that.
All the best, Jared. You'll be missed.
Okay, when I read Left Behind, I just saw the Nicolas Cage movie in my head first.
It's definitely about that. Definitely not about The Last of Us DLC.
That would be very strange.
I hope Ellie's learned to swim in the 5 years in between these games, because if I need to pull another pallet across a body of water,
if you learn how to play guitar
cry.
and you get a tattoo in like a world that's basically made of tetanus, and you don't know how to swim? Like, what's wrong with you?
My fear is that so many people have made that can't swim joke that a third of that game is going to be underwater now.
I was going to like dive in for the bubbles and
it's
Sonic.
It's going to be like, this is what you wanted, isn't it? And I'm like, no, I don't want most of this game underwater. I want a lot more customization with weapon stuff. I really love where they were getting with a lot of that stuff.
Like crafting and stuff.
Like crafting is super cool to me. I think that's awesome. Like the sort of like foraging and gathering parts of like that game where you're in houses. Like I want that times 5. Like bring it to a Minecraft element. Like almost to the point where like you need to look up a wiki to figure out how to make like a certain type of thing. I don't mean like ridiculous like the way Dead Rising does it, but I think there's a way to sort of like walk that balance between Minecraft and what The Last of Us does right now.
I'd like to see no more bottles, no more bricks, completely redone stealth elements that take a different approach, maybe something closer to Hitman's hiding in plain sight kind of stealth gameplay. I'd love to see him just completely surprise us and it play nothing like the first one.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I think. Did you see like the way the first one played, where like Ellie would just get up and run in front of a bunch of people, and they'd be like they didn't see her?
Yeah.
I want them to fix that. Like it's not like it's good that this shit doesn't get caught gameplay wise. I don't have to keep restarting the mission, but like it totally broke immersion for me.
Yeah,
I get that.
I don't want an open world game, but I would like it if it was a little bit wider. There were some kind of areas that were wide, but there was also a lot of like corridor stuff and just sort of you're like, oh, I'm in the I'm not in the woods. Never mind. This is
and as
just
much as I love
path.
Joel and Ellie, I think a lot of the things I remember about the first Last of Us were sort of the small glimpses we got into other people's lives and how they were dealing with the fallout of this. And I think it'd be cool to sort of broaden that even a little bit.
I love that idea.
I also want to be able to play as the giraffe.
Yes, that would be
Spoilers.
cool. Also, kart racing. Nino Masuki says, "Are any of you guys big snackers while gaming? And if so, what?" I like chips, so obviously my controllers are disgusting. This is a great internet statement. This is
Max and I were laughing at this question before, and I was like, I got to put this in the show.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I don't eat while playing video games.
At all?
Separation of church and state.
The only time I do it is at work when I'm at my desk and I'm working through lunch. In which case, even then, usually I put down the controller, wolf the food down in like 5 minutes, and go back to playing. I don't like getting gross stuff on my controller, and I eat like a churl, like I'm just a freaking barbarian.
Who's
and
that?
So,
What was that, man?
yeah, and so a
trying to say squirrel?
yeah, no, a churl's like a
Cheryl?
No,
Are you mispronouncing the word churro?
No, churl.
Like a little-
churl.
like
A churl? Is that like a Chinese squirrel?
C-H-U-R-L, a churl. No, it's none of those things.
What
Just
is-
like a
how about we
barbarian.
stop guessing? You tell us what a churl
No, it's like
is.
an unsophisticated person.
Oh.
Like and
Like a
it's-
mess?
Like
yeah,
a
I'm a
dope?
total mess. Like I eat my lunch and I'm like wearing it. So I put the controller down, I get it all over me, gross. Then I like bathe my body in paper towels, and then I play the game some more.
Wow, you love
Man,
showers.
I'm really glad over the last 3 years I haven't witnessed any of this.
I know.
Yeah, I eat a lot while I'm just playing video games. I'm not super messy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure my controllers are disgusting just on the basis that they're a thing that'll hold for hours on end. You know, there's probably all
I
kinds.
clean
of like
mine a
weird-
lot. I use a lot of like those what do they call them? There's like that plastic tube with like disinfectant rags,
Yeah,
and they
the
always
wipes.
get stuck at the bottom.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's,
I don't like that.
wet
Or if
and
you
weird.
accidentally leave it open, they dry out, and then you
Yeah,
got a
that's
bunch of dumb
gross.
cloths.
It's
Yeah,
just
you
like
can also
ghosts.
just take a paper clip or like a nail scissors or whatever and go around the edge and get all that disgusting
get that
crud
gunk
out.
out.
I remember back when I first got my Wii back in 2006, I would record episodes of Aqua Teen on my TiVo because they're 11 minutes long, and I would save them specifically for like long Saturdays where I was playing through Twilight Princess, and then I'd like stop because it was time to eat, put on an episode of Aqua Teen, eat a sandwich, and that was about 11 minutes, and then get right back to the game. And that's what they were there for.
I love cheddar goldfish. I think about them almost every day.
Oh, they are so
There's
good.
probably like, I would say probably 4 out of 5 days a week I get off the train and I walk by Walgreens. I'm like, I'm going to go in there and get some cheddar goldfish. And I keep walking. I go right by it. But I don't have that kind of self-control. Like if you gave me cheddar goldfish right now, I'd eat the whole bag. I
Like
don't even
it-
need a video game there.
What about those cartons they come in? Do you ever just take a
Those like milk
that?
cartons?
Yeah, the milk cartons full
Yeah,
of
it's
cheddar
amazing.
goldfish. Yeah, incredible.
And there's like missing fish on the back of it.
Yeah.
Have you seen this fish? Yes, I have, sir. He's in my mouth.
Also, I don't think I eat a lot. Well, I just do a good drink.
Yeah, we definitely do a lot of drinking. While,
Yeah. We drink a lot. We drink a lot of vodka while playing video games.
I'll
this
go on
weekend.
some kettle chips. I like a nice kettle chip. If I'm like, I generally try to watch what I eat and not snack too much. But like, if I'm gonna, cut loose, I'll get some nice jalapeno kettle chips and get in there. Get my hands all filthy.
I was stress eating like crazy when I first started Bloodborne, and I read this thing online like about a couple weeks after I started this, where there were people who were doing like push-ups every time they died in Bloodborne, because Bloodborne has like 60-second load times when it launched.
That's pretty good.
So I would like die and then just get up and go in the other room, eat a whole half a bag of like cheddar goldfish, and go back, sit down, play again. Some ugly ass horse mutant monster would chop off my leg and run back out, eat the rest of the cheddar goldfish.
Also, you really gunning for that sponsor.
Cheddar goldfish. I love cheddar goldfish. The fish you can taste.
You
The cheese that goes
There's a
sploosh.
future in marketing for you, Brian. It's I don't drink alcohol when I'm playing video games very much because it impedes my proficiency. Like I get
Shut up.
Oh
you
no,
nerd.
there's a pyramid there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you have to understand. There's a pyramid when it comes to alcohol.
Yeah.
And when you're going up to the top of it, it's getting better and better.
Yeah.
And you get to that peak,
That
that
zenith.
pyramid, the
Yeah.
zenith, and you are great.
I'm
at
great
video
at
games.
everything, yeah.
But then you start
Oh, yeah.
sliding down the side of the pyramid, and that horse cuts off all your body parts.
Yeah. Also, you can play a game that's not hard. You know, like you play a game where you're just having a good time. Just
I can
like set
do
that bear on fire in Far Cry, watch it run around, do some stuff.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's always a fun thing. But that's a good IGN video. I mean, when you do that, you want to hit that capture button, take it back to work, be like, hey, I made this cool thing happen, make a video out of
No,
it.
man.
Shut up!
Yeah.
You don't work here
Turn it
anymore.
off.
You don't have to do that.
Turn it off.
Saul Nolasco says, "Can I get a huge beyond from Jared one last time as an IGN employee?"
Beyond.
There you go.
That's good. That's,
Jared, we're gonna miss the fuck out of you,
Oh,
man.
I'm gonna miss you guys so much. You were every person sitting at this table is just. I'm sorry. Very much responsible for. I'm saying bad word, not good.
Anything's better than churl.
You don't ever say that word.
Think
Don't
about me.
bleep that word, churl, whatever that was.
Everybody at this table has gone out of their way to make my career here better. You all opened different and very, very helpful doors for me, and you all taught me things. Very specific lessons that I will treasure for the rest of my life and never forget being given. Every person here in this room has made my life more meaningful and happier and richer. And you did that at cost. You did that in effort. You didn't do it because it was easy. You did it because you were kind and good at what you do. I will not ever cease to be humbled and grateful for that reality. And as for our audience, some of them I met, a lot of them I never will. But it's extraordinary that so many people find time out of their day to engage, to ask questions, to tell me what they think about something, to share their passions and their loves and enthusiasm. Well, most human beings never get this opportunity. I will not forget how lucky I am. And I thank you for it, and I promise to take it with me for the rest of my life and do as much good with the gifts you've given me as I can.
We want all of them back.
If you find any more weird sunglasses or old strategy guides in your trash pile of the desk, like please,
Jared, we love you so much.
Yeah.
man.
I got to give your Boba Fett comic back.
Ooh, yeah. Did you read it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one, huh?
To get out of that hole.
It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
he goes on all kinds of adventures.
Did
out
you
of
try
the
to
hole.
find that child who accidentally swallowed it and choked on his rocket, and he went and beat him up?
Jared, you're a wonderfully kind man, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And you're not dying; you're just going to another place. If you guys want to keep track of Jared, he's Petty
farm
Comma Jared,
upstate.
Petty Comma Jared
Yeah.
on Twitter. So keep track of the dude, and you know.
And if you haven't checked out Pockets Full of Soup, check it out.
Yeah.
It's a one-on-one interview show that Jared does. That all of us have been on it.
Yep.
Greg and Colin have been on it. Andrew and Alana have been on
I think
it.
I'm coming back soon. right?
You are coming back soon. Yeah, we've interviewed a lot of people from the IGN family, from folks over at Kinda Funny, Comedy Button, places like that. But we're branching it out quite a bit now, and talking with people from other vocations. I've got
Like
some pretty,
GameSpot and Kotaku.
well, yes, but also things like say painters and musicians and actors and people, and hopefully that'll continue to grow. And we do a thing called A Pretty Good Day, which we're just getting off the ground, which is about the best days of our lives.
Good.
And those stories. Ooh. And it's fun. Yeah, we're shooting for kind of grounded optimism, like grounded positivity. I don't want this to be saccharine and fake.
Good.
You can't do that. Life sucks a lot of the time, and we're not going to deny that. But we're also going to talk about the parts that don't, along with the ones that do. And and if you, I'm completely supported by the donations of fans in the community. So if you want to give money to that, I'm at Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jared Petty, and it really, really helps. It's the difference between me making it and not making it in my life recently, and it's people came through, man. Woo.
Jared, speaking of that community, I wanted to ask you one last quick question. Obviously, how many years were you here at IGN?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, and then freelance before that, of course.
Obviously, it's like we won't be able to just replace you easily, but people do break into this industry and they do work at they do get jobs at IGN. It's a dream job. It's changed my life. It's changed the lives of everybody at this table, everybody in this building. What's your advice for somebody who wants to get into the games industry or wants to get into IGN?
Okay, I got a few things to go there. One, have a job in mind. And then prepare yourself for that job. Look at the last job posting for that position and get jobs doing wherever you live, doing all the things that are listed on that job listing. I stole this from Sam Claiborne, but that's how he got his job here. He looked at job postings here, and then he just kept learning all the skills that were on that posting until he could check them all off. And when he could, he applied and he got the job. Because he was qualified for everything they were asking for that position. So know what you want to do. Don't tell us what you want to do. Actually do it and show us. Get lots of practice. Build a portfolio of written work, of visual work, of film. Learn to edit video. Learn some camera if you can. Practice in front of a video, and don't do exactly the same thing everyone else does. It doesn't be, hey guys, I've done it too. I'm guilty of it. But just keep it concise and palatable and good. Make something, put it out there, take a look at it, show it to people you trust, listen to those smart people, hear their criticism, and improve. Go back and do it again and make it better. And just keep making it better. And make the kinds of things that we make and do them in a smart, good, clean way. Put them together, and when you've got that portfolio constructed of things you're really proud of, get them in front of somebody here at the time they're looking for someone. And there's a very good chance you're going to get noticed. Make your cover letters concise and congenial and professional.
Yep. Don't print it on a cake, because people will just eat the cake and then they won't know how to email you.
That's literally happens.
It's happened. Actually, it's a real thing.
It's a good cake.
And do connect here, but don't. It's okay to meet people here at the events and be like, hey, and ask for advice. That's all right. Nobody's hurt by that. We don't get tired of hearing people say, how do I break into this? We were there ourselves at one point. Also understand something very important, and I hate saying this part. There are more people who are capable of doing the jobs that we do than there are jobs that we do. You can do everything right and not get a job doing this. You really can. You can be good enough and not make it. You need to know that. You need to know the risk you're taking. You need to understand that this dream is something that you may not achieve despite doing everything right. And you need to realize that before you start.
Kind of the inverse of it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. It's kind of like it's a really fun job, so everybody wants to do it.
Exactly.
So yeah, on that note, Jared, we love you. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you, Max, and thank you, Brian. Thank you, Marty, and again, I want to thank Alana and Andrew also.
You don't have to do that. They're
not here. And I'd be remiss not to mention Greg and Colin, who first brought me onto the show. It's one of the very first things I did outside of Wikis at IGN, and it was pathfinding for me. And I'll never cease to be grateful.
Like I said, Jared's on Twitter. He's Petty Comma Jared. I'm Max Scoville. Brian is Agent Bizzle, and Marty is McBiggities with 2 G's and 2 T's.
I'm actually changing it to Charles. Also, that's the last piece of advice. Don't use that word.
Don't use the
Churl?
word Churl.
Yeah.
Churl is the name
Never
of
gonna hire a
a
word,
character in a novel I'm going to finish
you can
someday.
stop all
That's
the recording
We're
stuff
gonna
now.
just end the show, and that's it. That's the end of the show. We'll be back next week. I think we're gonna get drunk or something and talk about Christmas and how it's fun or whatever. But from us beyond to you, we love you, and have a good one. Beyond.
Beyond.